My name is Dave Mawer. I'm an assistant professor at Buffalo State University in the Department of Art and Design. And I teach secondary methods courses mostly, and then kind of divide that up with technology and art education as well. I'd say ever since I was little, I enjoyed drawing. I feel like I remember drawing a lot in like elementary school, and just kind of like remember teachers like positioning me as an artist. Like they would see me do all that kind of drawing stuff, usually get scolded, you know, here and there. And I took a coding class, so like a coding for digital arts course, which was focused on a particular programming language called P5.js, which is, it runs in a web browser, and I still use that programming language today. It's really great for visuals, doing like design and kind of interactive visual work in that sense. Coding just kind of crept up. Like I've always had kind of like an interest in technology, and then learning, you know, how code works. And I guess what you can do with coding that you can't do with more static art, like drawing and painting, those kinds of like topics really interested me. Imagine that like people that work in the same kind of area as me, like consider themselves artists or like visual creative type people, first and foremost, and code, you know, is like a medium to create art. Working as a teacher in an art setting kind of gives you the freedom to be able to create like what you want. There's not a lot of pressure to, you know, make work that's going to sell, or like, you know, thinking about an audience in that sense. So like I feel very privileged in that sense to be able to create art that I'm, you know, interested in. Going down this like, in this deep dive on aliens and like, like disclosure. I don't know if you guys know about this, but there's like heavy rumors that like alien contact is going to be disclosed to humanity in the next little while. But so during this time, like this, like I'd be like having dreams about this kind of stuff, and just like, you know, anxieties, fears, whatever. So these maps, like they're almost like imaginings of what it might look like for like a alien fleet to kind of like land on the Earth, and the maps kind of signify like where they would be like moving around and kind of like putting out these light patterns, but not much more than that. It's not that deep. What you can do with coding that you can't do with more static art, like drawing and painting, those kinds of like topics really interested me. Yeah, so like, for example, you know, if you draw something, you can draw like one of it, and then you have to do it again and again and again. You could use like a copier or something like that, right? But with coding, like you can repeat the same shape over and over with like a single line of code. And so there's, I guess, like my work and my animation work, I really like focus on drawing attention to that in a sense. Yeah, just like what code affords in that sense versus traditional ways of making art. And then, you know, being an educator, like I've taught, what year is it? It's 2026. I've been teaching for like 15 years at this point. So just kind of like becoming comfortable running a classroom and getting students excited about and like passionate about the arts feels awesome. Like it feels almost like a calling, not to be cliche, but yeah.